Hello everyone, welcome to Brownware Animation. For details, you can check out the description of this video and Brownware Animation website. So let's start learning small things to achieve big goals. In this video, we are going to make a Ghibli style character. His name is Totoro, and this will be a long video, and this video is meant for those who are kind of beginners and intermediate artists who want to make cute characters. And during this whole video, I will be explaining you my process of making character from the blocking stage to the final stage. And later on, I will be printing this model. So I will be pointing out the things which you have to keep in mind while making your model for your 3D prints. So I hope you will be watching this video and following this video, or else I would suggest you can go and watch this video in parts so that you will get proper time to practice. And if you want to fast forward this video, you can go on to the YouTube playback speed option and you can fast forward, or you can watch it in a slow motion too. So with all this, let's get started with our sculpting process. First step is to close the light box with comma key or the hide button. Then you go to simple brush icon and take sphere and drag it on the canvas. Then after that, I will click on make polymesh 3D button. And I will change the material to matte cap gray. And B is the shortcut for the brush icon, like brush menu. You can choose move brush. I have chosen move brush for changing the shapes of this sphere. This stage, the overall stage is, right now I'm working on the blocking stage of this model. So I will be taking basic shapes and changing those basic shapes into block out of the model. I will be blocking out the shapes, overall shapes of the character. And you can see the symmetry option is activated. You can go to the transform menu for activating the symmetry, or you can press the X key on your keyboard. With the move brush and gizmo, you can scale and you can deform your basic shape to make it look like the reference which you are following. Right now I'm following the Totoro's reference which I have on my other screen, and I'm blocking out the body shape of that character. Then I will be appending a new sphere for the head of that character. And with the gizmo activated, by clicking W, I will activate the gizmo and I will move that sphere above, and then with the move brush I will shape the head according to the reference. Take your time while blocking out the character, because that is the most important stage of your character while modeling your character. Because if your blocking is very good, then after that when you will be applying details and onto it, that will look like cherry on the cake. But the blocking stage is very important. Blocking stage is the whole cake which you are making. Now again I'm appending a sphere for the legs of this character. You can see I'm continuously appending different subtools from that append button. So keep in mind that if you want to append any subtool, you have to go to that button. Then again with the gizmo I'm placing it. Then there's one option which I will tell you. It's when you go to your gizmo mode and then setting icon, you will see those are the reformers. So I have chosen the flatten reformer from that. And then with the orange markers, you can just move and flatten the model. Because I wanted a flat base for the legs of this character, because later on I'm going to print this model. So with the flat base, it will be easier for this model to be standing on the ground. Then again I have appended a sphere for the hands. And the gizmo is always helpful for placing your different subtools in a desired position. Then after that I always use move brush to change the shape of that particular subtool. And you can see I'm changing the shapes quite slowly. It's not like I'm changing the shapes rapidly, because if you change the shapes in a big quantity or in a rapid way, those shapes will get blobby and your final model won't look good. So one key tip is make the brush size of your move brush a big size, make the draw size big. Then after that you change the shapes so your model will not get blobby. So one leg and one hand is there. I'm looking at the model from different angles so that I can get a kind of view, because I have a 2D image, a concept 2D image from like somewhere from the online, but for making it in 3D I have to look that model and observe that, or like analyze that model and from different views in my mind, so that I can make the shapes in the 3D view. So keep the second tip is to keep rotating your model from different angles so that you can get a clear view of your model, and that will be easy for you to make proper shapes. Now I'm going to duplicate or mirror this thing, this hands and legs. So for that I have went to Z plugin, subtool master, then mirror option, and with the default option I just click OK, and you can see in the subtool menu there's a symmetry of, or like mirror of those hands and legs. Then this sphere I have appended for the nose of the character. You can see I'm continuously blocking out the character with the basic shapes, and you have seen that I'm only appending spheres for this thing, because this character, if I break down this character, this is just whole character is just kind of spherical shapes. So that's why I'm using these basic shapes for blocking out this character. So whenever you choose a reference, you see that you see and block out or break down those characters into basic shapes, so that you can use basic primitives from here to make the forms and shapes, so that will like accurately portray your model according to reference. And for directly clicking, like directly selecting your subtool, you can just hold Alt on a keyboard and just click on any subtool on the viewport. You don't have to go to the subtool menu again and again. This is just the editing part which I am doing, and changing the shapes, forms, and understanding whether it is looking good or not. Then I am go to the geometry icon, then with the dynamic slider I will dynamic this head so that I get a kind of good resolution to sculpt on it. And I will be sculpting the eyes of this character, eye sockets. So for that, if you are following my channel and following my videos, you will see that I do this thing always. So after dynameshing, I select the clay builder brush, and just with the alt click on the keyboard, I just sculpt on the head for this eye socket. Then I will append a sphere for the eyes. This is the usual way which I follow whenever I make these kinds of cute characters. So you can see that by the help of Gizmo, I am placing the sphere in the eye position. Then after that, I am mirroring this eyes by going on to the Z plugin, subtool master, then mirror option, and with the default setting I have mirrored this eyeballs. Then I have smoothed the head. At this stage, with the help of move brush, I will mainly change the forms and structure of the head or the body. For directly selecting any subtool, you can just hold Alt on a keyboard and click on the subtool which you want to select. And you can see right now I have appended a sphere. I will be making a nose kind of shape for this model. I'm following my reference which is on my other screen. So that reference is very helpful while making this model. So make sure to have a proper reference for what you are making, and with the help of that reference you will be able to figure out the basic shapes. Then you can use any of the basic primitives which are here in ZBrush, and you can make the structure of that model with that basic shape. So those basic shapes are the main thing which will help you to create the forms of the structure. Then after that, when you are like finalizing the forms and structure, then you will like go to the detail section, or else there's no point to add details if the structure and the forms are not right. So right now I am decreasing the resolution of Dynamesh so that I can smooth it better and give it a proper form. This is because if you have higher subdivisions in any of the mesh, if you have higher subdivisions, it will happen that when you try to reform it, you will get a very bumpy surface. So try to work in a low res first, then after that when you are adding details and stuff, then you go on to the higher subdivision levels. This is the usual way, because if you like, many beginner artists do this thing that they just start sculpting on high resolution meshes, and then what happened that the sculpt get all bumpy and cracked. So at that time you can't even smooth that mesh, because that is so high resolution that you can't smooth it. So that model itself doesn't look good. So try to get the forms and structure within the low resolution mesh. So you can see I have corrected it, then I have increased the dynamic resolution, and I was using damn standard brush for creating the eye area, like eyelids area. For the eyes, I am changing the material. I have changed to toy plastic material. Then I will be filling up the color by going on to the color icon, then color menu, then fill object. So before that, keep in mind that you have to turn on the mRGB button, so that material and RGB color which you have selected, that will get filled on the surface which you have selected. So with the paintbrush, I have selected to drag rectangle, then alpha which is circular, so that I can just drag a eyeball of this character. And you can see the brush is faded at the edges, so I decrease the focal shift. You can see I have got a sharp eye, you can say cornea or something. Right now I was editing the body, but you can jump back and forth to the head, the body, to the hands. It's not a rule that you first finish the head or then after that you can move on to the hands. It's not a rule. You can just jump wherever you want, and you can just edit whatever part you want in the character while sculpting it. So you can see I am just trying out some different shapes of the eyes. I'm making it this eye little oval. I'm seeing if the forms will look good and the style will look good on this character or not. Because I have 2-3 kinds of references, and those are just sketch references, some are illustrations. So the thing is, this is kind of a stylized kind of character, so it's not sure that how it will look. So we can experiment with those about the looks of this character. We can experiment about it. So with the clay buildup brush, you have seen that I have added some structure. Mostly I use a smooth brush by holding shift key on the keyboard, because that helps me to clear out the bumpiness which I get while sculpting it. And with the damn standard brush, I try to make a lip, but before that I must correct the facial features like cheek area and the nose and the roundness of the head. After that I will put the lip part or a small part of a mouth. It's not I'm not going to make a proper mouth for this character, but just a small damn standard cut so that it resembles the mouth area. And you can see I am looking at this model from far and from close up, so that I get a better understanding of the forms, like about the roundness and about the fluffiness of this character. So you have to keep that thing in mind while sculpting the model, like how sharp it is, how soft it is. I will be posting more videos so that you can make good and better character in ZBrush and also in Maya also. So stay tuned for those videos, but first see that right now if you are making this character, you just follow the structure and the shape of this character. You should feel the fluffiness of the model with the gray shade itself. Like this model is right now in the gray shade. Now you should just feel that fluffiness in that shape itself. Then it will be easy for us to resemble, like get the understanding of this character from afar and from close-up distance. And you can see I have appended a cylinder. I will be making the ear of this character. It's a ear or horn, I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of ear. For mirror, you can just go to Z plugin, subtool master, and mirror option. If you are following my videos, you must be familiar with these things. So you have seen that I am using taper deformer, and you know that by going onto the gizmo, you see a gear icon. Then from there, you just go to the taper option, and you can edit that taper thing with those cones which you will see there. You can see that I am figuring out the shape, how it will look, because for this model I was planning it to, like when I was sculpting it, I was planning it to print it in my new 3D printer. So I was planning that model in such a way so that I can get these parts separated, and I can print them separately so that I can print a big model out of this character. That's why I was like thinking that what kind of shapes are good for this character, so that those shapes are solid and I can print them easily. This time I have used the flatten deformer. You have seen it in my other videos if you are following. And if you are not seen, if you haven't seen my printing videos, you can just go to the channel and you can see that I have started learning, or kind of learning printing, 3D printing. It's been like few months, but I'm getting hang of it. So maybe in future I will be teaching that also. So for like you can make characters for the printing. So stay tuned for those things also. You can go and subscribe the channel if you want. Like if this is helpful for you, you can just go and subscribe the channel. Here I have just taken a duplicate out of that original mesh by holding Ctrl and just dragging out the mesh. So you can see I have mirrored this ears, and it's looking kind of funny right now, but I will correct it later. I will give it a proper kind of a random shape. So right now I have appended a cylinder, and with the deformer option I am applying some taper onto it. So that I can make the whiskers or mustaches of this character. So first deformer was taper. I applied a taper on the cylinder. Then I have selected bend curve. Bend curve is very helpful. Like I'm using it on a daily basis these days. So you can, with the cones, I will be making a detailed video about these deformers also. But with the cones you can adjust the number of count, and you can adjust the axis, and you can just deform your mesh very smoothly. I have duplicated this, and I will be duplicating it for other whiskers, and I will just randomize it a little. Then with the mirror option I will mirror each of the whiskers to the other side, and we'll go to accept button and accept this mesh. With the move brush I'm trying to randomize the whiskers a little, and you can see that in the subtool menu these whiskers are in separate subtool. So with the merge down button I will merge all these whiskers together in a single subtool. Then I will go to deformation tab, and I'm just applying or checking out what I'm just checking out the polish options, and I'm trying to inflate the mesh in a proper thickness. You can inflate or deflate any mesh with this deformation option. You can play with these deformation options when you are sculpting anything. I think you will get you will easily get what these options are doing to the mesh. So with the smooth brush, I smoothen out the whiskers. Then again I am appending a sphere. With the flatten option, I have flattened the one side of the sphere. And the taper option, I'm going to taper this thing. So you can see with the deformers, you can easily deform any mesh which you are going to make and make a basic shape out of it. You can play with these cones to get your desired result, but in this case I am trying to get a kind of nail shape so that I can make the nails of this character. Then I will just accept it to make a proper mesh. Then I can apply different deformer, like in this case I am applying bend curve to bending it a little. Then again accepting it. Then with the move brush, I will edit the shape, and with the smooth brush, by holding shift key on the keyboard, I will be smoothing out the mesh. You can also dynamesh it, and if you are not able to smooth the mesh, then just reduce the dynamesh resolution and then apply the dynamesh again, then try to smooth it. Or else you can directly smooth the mesh after applying dynamesh. You have to maintain the resolution of the dynamesh so that you can work in a proper way. So, and if you want to know more detail about dynamesh, I have a separate video on this channel. I will be providing the links in the description also and in the I button, so you can just go and check it out. Then I have hold control on the keyboard and dragged out the same mesh, like duplicate of the same mesh, and I'm arranging those things. And here I have splitted this thing, split the mask points. So I have splitted the mask points. Now this is a separate mesh, and those three which were the duplicates were separated from this one. So now I am making this nail as a toenail, so it will be slightly bigger. Then I will be placing these nails with the help of gizmo, and if I want to take a duplicate, I will just hold control on the keyboard and drag with the gizmo to get the duplicate, like this. Just hold control, and with any of the arrows in the gizmo, just drag out the mesh, so you will get a duplicate. You can see they have same polygroup, so I'm doing auto group so that I can separate them easily with the control and with holding control and shift on the keyboard. You can separate the polygroups. Just hold control and shift on the keyboard and separate single polygroup, then apply mask onto it, then again control and shift key, tap on the emptier of the canvas, then reverse the mask by holding control on the keyboard and tapping on the emptier of the canvas. It's a process, but the thing is, with the control key and shift key, you can separate a polygroup. Just hold control and shift key on the keyboard and tap on any of the mesh which have a separate polygroup, then those polygroup will be separated. You can see them separately, but they will be in a single subtool. And if you want to separate those subtool, you have to just do the masking thing, that you separate them, then apply mask, then split the points which are masked and split the points which are not masked. If you are having any doubt about these steps, just let me know in the comment section. I will resolve it for you. or make a separate video about it. With the damp standard brush, I'm editing the area nearby the eyes. I'm trying to give it some forms of the eyelids. With the damp standard brush, I'm also making the mouth shape, or you can say lip shape of this character. I have deactivated the symmetry so that I can make it in an asymmetric way. I'm changing the resolution and applying Dynamesh on the ears too, so that I can smooth it out and combine all the separate parts. I'm just editing the shapes of the sculpt, and I'm just doing some minor tweaks, minor fixes to make this more appealing. You can follow your reference. If you have your reference, you can follow that reference closely at this point. Now I have appended a cylinder. With the taper option, I am tapering the top part of the cylinder. Basically, I am trying to make a leaf stick. In my reference, there's a leaf which he is holding. His character's name is Totoro, and he's holding a leaf as an umbrella. So I'm just adjusting right now. I'm adjusting bend curves point and axis. You can see with this bend curve option, we can edit these kinds of bends easily, very easily. Then I have accepted it. Then I will append a cube. Then I will scale it down. And this one, basically I will create a base. I will Dynamesh it. It's a cube base on which I can draw a mask. I'm drawing a mask for creating and extracting a leaf out of this mask. By going to the extract option, you can smooth this mesh and adjust the thickness. I'm making the thickness to 0 so that I can get a single plane, and I will later on edit that single plane into a leaf. By accepting, you will get a separate mesh in subtools. Then this is quite a high resolution, so I will go to remesh option in geometry tab. Then with the half button turned on, I will just remesh it 2-3 times unless I get a low resolution mesh to work on. Actually, I remeshed it 9 times before I get a decent resolution to work with. So you can see now, I can see the chords of this mesh easily. Now I'm using bend curve by going on to the deformer option. I'm changing the count and the axis with those cones. Later on, I will be making separate videos about these deformers which are there in ZBrush. There will be a separate, I'm planning to have a separate playlist for these deformers also, so you can learn about them in depth. So stay tuned for that. And by using this deformer, I am changing the curvature of this leaf. After that, I will accept it. I'm again using bend curve to bend it in other axis. Then I have accepted it, and with the move brush I am randomizing the shape. At this point you can take a reference of a leaf, or you can have a concept image or the image which you are following. You can follow that image and make that leaf in your own way. It's an anime, basically anime character, so you can just look at some cartoon leaves or an anime leaves, and you can design it like that, according to the reference which you will find. And with the damp standard and smooth brush I am making these creases, and at the same time I'm smoothing them out. At this point I thought that I will be giving it a thickness, so I just went to my lowest subdivision and deleted the higher subdivisions. Then I chose the Z modeler brush, and with the default setting, just I changed one setting in target. I change it to all polygons, so that it affects all the polygons. So after that, and for the edge thing, we just have to hover over our edge, and the setting, with the default setting, I'm just inserting 2 edges for holding it in this shape, because if without these I will divide it, the shape will kind of deform very smoothly. But right now I'm creating some holding edges, so this shape will hold itself. You can see this. While dividing, it's smooth, at the same time some sharpness is there. And now I will be doing that same step with the damp standard brush. I will be creating creases on top of this mesh. You can see that when I am drawing it on the top of it, the damp standard brush is affecting the bottom part too. So for that I have made a separate video. I will provide the link in the description. That is backface masking for any brushes. You can see that video, and I will try to put that video on the I button also. I am going to turn on that setting here in the brush menu, backface masking, so that when I will sculpt on the one part of top part of the sculpt, it won't affect the back part. That setting is very important in these kinds of cases. You can see back part is not affected now. And if you want to see that part in a detailed way, you can go to that video. After this point, it's just a matter of your preference and your reference which you are following. You can add how much detail you want, however amount of detail you want. But for me, I didn't wanted a very detailed kind of leaf, so I just went with the kind of simple and kind of, it feels like it's a leaf. That's it. I just wanted that for this model. It's not like I wanted a realistic model, so I didn't went into sculpting all veins and all, getting proper shapes and all. It's it should look like leaf. That's it. That was my goal for this leaf. Because later on I'm going to print this model. It's not like whatever amount of detail I will put on these leaves, everything right now everything won't come on the print also. But I'm just trying and learning the printing stages also. So I'm trying to make some base model and basic model, and then I will learn the process of printing. Then my most used brushes are the move brush and the smooth brush. And this is just the placement part of the things. I'm just placing it with a gizmo. trying to maintain some thickness over here because in printing, in 3D printing, if something is very thin, like I have Anycubic photon mono 4K. So the thing is, if we have something very thin, it will get a hard time to like sustain. Like if let's say you have a very thin kind of plastic material or plastic something figurines or something toy, that will break easily. So I was thinking that let's make this leaf kind of thicker leaf, so that these parts like the stick and the leaf both get attached while printing, because I was planning to print this thing like in a single piece. I'm not going to separate the stick and the leaf separately. I will just print it together. So for that I have to maintain the thickness so that these parts will hold up in the, like after printing, these parts will hold up, they won't break. I've played with the deformers also. If I want to like inflate this stick in a like equal way, so I just went to the deformer option and I just use inflate option. Inflate slider, you can go in the positive and the negatives also for inflating your mesh in a kind of unified way. Instead of that inflate option, if I would have used in the inflate brush, that would have like, it's a random thing, like I have to apply that inflate brush randomly on the surface for getting a inflation. And then now I don't need that cuboid kind of thing which I used for creating the mask for the leaf, so I deleted it. And right now I'm just looking at the model, how it's feeling, how it's looking at, like looking from different angles and major angle, that 3/4 angle which I wanted to look good. Then I have divided the leaf stick with Ctrl D on the keyboard. This is just a simple division. I went to the polygroup option, then I pressed auto group, then with the Control Shift I isolated one side, then applied mask on the other side, then flipped that mask, and now the other side is masked, so I can edit the, like one side I can edit it. So I'm just changing the shape with the move brush. This is a very simple process. You just have to remember the Control Shift option. Control Shift will help you to isolate your mesh. On the whichever polygroup you will tap, that mesh will get isolated, that polygroup will get isolated, and after that you just have to apply a mask on that isolated polygroup. Then again you just have to tap on the empty area of the canvas with the Control Shift so that you can see both the polygroups. Then you can invert the mask, just Control and tap on the empty area of the canvas, that will invert the mask, and then you can sculpt on the before selected subtool. I'm planning to make a separate video about this Control Shift and the functions which are related to Control and Shift, because there are quite a few ones and they might be confusing if you are looking at in a big video. But if you look at it separately, how it works, that will be easy for you to understand. So I'm planning to make that video also. That will be a kind of short tips video. So yeah, I will be making that video. If you are not getting that Control Shift thing from this video, just let me know in the comment section, and later on I will be making video for that also. Because that
option is that step is kind of very useful because I'm continuously using that step uh, to isolate something, mask something, and at the same time editing something that are in a single subtool but have different polygroups. I hope from watching the other videos or my videos, you're getting this, that what is subtool, what is polygroup, what is different meshes. If you are getting these terminologies which I am talking about, it will be easy for you to understand. Or else you can just let me know in the comment section. It's not that big of a deal. I will just explain it to you. It's easy. It's not that. But for first, if you are starting, you have just started learning, that will be kind of intimidating to listen all these terms and to keep in mind. But if you think you have to learn, like if you believe that you can learn this thing, you just let me know in the comment section. I will explain it to you. Control Shift to isolate the mesh, like mesh 1, polygroup 1, you will isolate it, then you will mask that polygroup 1, then you will make all the polygroup visible by Control Shift, tap on the empty row of the canvas, you will get all the polygroups. Then after that you can invert the mask because you want to sculpt on the polygroup number 1. So you just hold Control and tap on the empty row of the canvas. That mask will get inverted. That polygroup which you have selected, like polygroup number 1, will get unmasked. You can edit that polygroup number 1, and polygroup number 2 will be masked, so that won't change. And in this case, where I'm editing the hands, it's the polygroup number 1 is one hand which I wanted to change. Like I wanted to change the pose of that hand. That was the polygroup number 1. And if I'm saying that the other hand is polygroup number 2. So I hope this is kind of like easy to understand now, because I have given the name like polygroup number 1, polygroup number 2. This is the basic step. It's basic for me, I think, because if you are a beginner, it will be kind of tricky for you to get. But yeah, I tried to explain it, but still, if you are having any doubt, just let me know. And for letting me know, you just have to comment on the comment section. It's easy. Don't feel stressed, or don't feel like you don't want to comment. Just comment me. I will just tell you. It's easy. Now I'm making the back side of this character like kind of fluffy and buffy, because I want the overall feel of this character to be kind of fluffy. And at this point, it's just a matter of taking a move brush and rotating your model, selecting different subtool by just clicking like holding Alt on the keyboard and clicking on that subtool, and editing the position, shapes, and forms of the particular meshes, so that you get a kind of, you can do the overall correction of the forms which you want to correct. Soon after uploading this, I will be uploading a video about that Control Shift step, so you will get like hang of it, and I will be using the same model for explaining you that thing. And then after this, I appended a sphere for the pouch which this character is holding. So I will be making that pouch, and with the taper option I have tapered the top part. By holding control, I dragged out the same mesh. It's a kind of duplicate which I took from that same pouch mesh for creating the knot of the pouch. And with the standard brush, I'm just trying to sculpt some wrinkles on top of it. You can go on to the solo button. This is the solo mode. You can just click the solo button to get in the solo mode. And now I'm using damp standard brush for creating these kinds of sharp creases. And I'm appending a cone. You can see that there's already two part, like folded part, which I have already made. But the thing was, that was not a proper way, or I thought that is not a good way to explain you how to make those kinds of folds, straps or something. So I just like edited that part, and I'm just making this thing separately. So for that I just added a cone. Then I will just make those kind of cloth folds, not folds which are the folds which are there when we tie a knot, those folds with this kind of cone. For that I have to go onto the Z modeler brush. Then I will just select a polygon and delete option, triangles. Then you can see that all triangles from this mesh got deleted. Now I have again selected the polygon. Then I will select delete, and in target I will select poly loop. And you can see I can just tap and delete the whole loop of that polygon. Right now, when I was sculpting this thing, I was thinking that how should I make that part, and also at the same time how should I explain this part while making to all of you guys. So I just got a basic shape by this cone. Then I started to give it some structure with the move brush, hide the hands. I'm just working with the nails and the pouch so that I can get a kind of decent looking knot. And the most important thing was, when I was sculpting I was sculpting this for the 3D printing. So I thought that this mesh shouldn't be colliding with everything, like the nails, the body, the pouch. If it will be colliding with everything, that would have created a problem for me. Now I have used the same trick with the Q mesh. I just selected all polygons and just kind of extruded it out. Then like in the leaf I added edges, so I'm adding edges over here also. So with the cone itself, I was planning to make this kind of a knot fold for this kind of pouch. I don't know whether you noticed or not that whenever I am trying to make some parts or any model, I'm trying to get think about that mesh or that model or that part in a very basic simple shape, so that I can break it out. And if I am able to break out that shape, then after that I can add different layers onto it, like primary layers and then secondary layers, so that the sculpt which I want to make will look good at the end. Because the main thing is the basic structure, the primary structure of that, the whatever mesh you are making. So in this case, I looked at my reference, and I thought that why not use a cone to make this kind of a knot fold. So I just used cone and tried it, and it's like, for me, for at that moment it worked, so it's fine. Now with this, all these standard brush, inflate brush, damp standard brush, smooth brush and move brush, I'm just trying to get a kind of folded kind of shape for this cloth, a wrinkly kind of shape. So from far and from like close, it's kind of decent to look at. Not exactly realistic, but yeah, that will do for now. And you can see I'm going on to the transparent mode, so that I can see that it's not intersecting with other meshes. Because in 3D printing, if some meshes are intersecting, we have to separate them, cut them. That's a different hectic process. So I don't want it to face that process. That's why I was planning ahead, and I was just making the sculpt in a way that most of the part don't collide with each other. That's it. Like some part will definitely collide with each other, but I was planning that less number of parts will collide with each other. Collide, or you can say intersect with each other. And for the patches on the belly of this character, I will just mask out the shapes in symmetry mode. For activating symmetry, you can just go to the transform menu, or you can just press X on your keyboard, then with the control click. And for removing the mask, you have to hold Control and Alt on your keyboard. For making the mask, you have to hold Control on your keyboard, and you can just mask out a shape. After masking, I went ahead and applied the smooth in the extract option, then that is 0. This time also I selected 0 as a thickness, so that I can get a thin mesh. Then I will use the same process which I used in the leaf. I will just go ahead and remesh this mesh. First I applied polish onto it. You can play with these polish options. You will see that these options work in a different way. I found that polish by feature option is like kind of good to work with. And you can see the polygon count is high, so I will just remesh it. Then it's very simple to edit the shape. If the polygon count is high, it's hard to edit the shapes, but if it's low, you can just use your move brush and edit the shapes however you want. So now I have selected the Z modeler brush, and with hovering over a quad, the target was all polygon and Q mesh was already selected. So I have got this kind of extruded surface. And I think I haven't made videos about Z modeler on this channel, so I will try to make videos about Z modeler options also, so that the basic thing which I use for making these kinds of basic character, I will tell you in those videos, so that you can get a hang of it. And then after that, I just divided the mesh and made it like smooth. I have changed the skin shade material and applied a black color to the nose. with the toy plastic material selected. I hope you are familiar with the poly painting option in ZBrush. If not, then there's a video on this channel, Brown Bear Animation. There is a video which is related to poly painting. It's just 2 to 4 minute video. You can just go and watch that video. You will get the poly painting step easily. And you can see I'm majorly using the move brush. And I don't know whether you noticed or not that I'm using the move brush in a big draw size, not in a small draw size, because I want to have a smooth kind of mesh. It's not like if I would have used the small draw size of this move brush, I would have got a bumpy surface. So keep this thing in mind, that if you have if you want to change the shapes in a kind of big way, you want to change the kind of big forms, so just use the move brush and make it big. Size will be big, then it will be fine. And now I have merged this design part and body and the head. And here I have damaged the head and the body together so that I can get a kind of smooth neck for this character. Now I'm trying to look this model from a different angle so that I can see the smoothness, roundness of this character, but overall, and make it overall feel round and fluffy. So at the end, you have to check the proportions and shapes by rotating it from different angles. That is important. If you are following the orthographic views of a model, that is also fine, but you have to see the different angles other than orthographic angle, like perspective angles, because when you see in orthographic, sometimes it happens that you find that model looking good in an orthographic view, but you are not seeing the proper forms of that character in a kind of perspective way. So keep that thing in mind to rotate a model many times. If it's called for, if it's necessary, then rotate it many times and just look your model from different angles and try to get the shape in a proper way. If you try to make the shape in proper way from one angle only, that won't look good from the 3/4 angle. So make sure to do that. Like you can see, I'm rotating and editing this edge to make it proper. Then after that, I can apply the polish by feature option or polish option, whatever works, you can just apply it. Then I have dynamized the, you can say, nose or mouth area, so that I can create a sharp lip kind of shape. This is kind of a long video, so thank you for watching this video for this long. If you are here till this time, if you are here, then thank you so much, or else it's okay. Now I thought of creating a kind of more rounded and fluffy shape to the foot of this character, because right now it was like smooth kind of cylinder. So I thought, let's make a bump nearby the toenails so that it feels like that those nails are coming from some kind of toe area. So for that, I just masked out that area and inverted the mask by control tap on the empty area of the canvas. You will see I will do that, but first I'm just making out the shape with the control alt and controls for removing the mask. Just I have snapped the gizmo to that position and just moved it out, and I'm just moving with a smooth brush and blurring the mask. You can blur the mask by holding Control and tap on the masked area or the masked mesh. Now you can see, you can feel like some toe kind of shape is there. I've selected the flatten option and flattening the surface from the base, so that when I print this model, this model will be able to stand, and if that base will be rounded, then if I print it, that won't stand on its own. So for that I have to create a base also, but I am trying to make this shape in a flat way so that when I print it, it will be flat and it will stand easily on a table or something. And you can see I have used clay builder brush for creating those, like defining more of the shape of that toenail. And after defining, I just smooth out the rougher part. Now it feels like there are some toes and some nails are coming out. If you go on to the transparent mode, you can sculpt in the transparent mesh. You can see that I can sculpt on top of the toenail, and you can see those area which are under that nail, it's getting sculpted. So this is a kind of good feature. If you want to sculpt and there is a mesh and you are not able to see it, just go into the transparent mode and you will like see through and sculpt through that mesh also. Bottom and top angle of the model are all important. So make sure that you check your model in bottom and top angle also, because the roundness of the shape will feel like sometimes it doesn't look good from top and bottom. So make sure to go and check those angles, those orthographic angles, and make sure to correct your model's form from the top and the bottom also. Reduce the dynamic resolution so that I can smooth out this mesh easily, because if the resolution is too high, you will not be able to smooth out the mesh. For that you have to select a stronger smooth brush from the light box and the brush is provided by going on to the light box. But it's easy to reduce the resolution of the mesh or the division of the mesh so that you can just smooth it out. I have gone ahead and merged the body, head and hands and legs of this character. Then I have selected this, and with the skin shade 4 material, I went to the color menu and just filled the object. So with the mRGB button turned on, it's a loop which you have to follow. First you have to change the material, then you have to change the color, and you have to select the object which you have in the subtool which you want to apply, like on which you want to apply the color or the material. Then you have to turn this mRGB button, which means that material in RGB color will be filled on that particular subtool which you have selected over here. Then go to the color option, then you can then just fill the object. So you can see that if I go to solo mode, you can see I have merged and dynamiced this thing, these hands, legs, body and head and nose shape of this character. And I have different subtools, like this one is the front chest design, this one is the body, then eyes, and this one is the nose,
and I have kept these things according to my requirement when what I will be needing while printing this model. So but for now, in this video, like in this part, we are going to just fill the color onto the model. So for first we will be filling the color on this body. The whole body is like different color, kind of greenish color. So we will select the material, then we will select the color, some rough color, we will select it, and we will select the object which we want to use, like on which we want to fill the color. Then we will turn on the mRGB button, then we will go to the color menu and just fill the object. So now you can see here also you will see that this thing has color now. Now we will fill up the colors for this thing also. These designs have the same color, so we will just select the material from here, select the color from here, and select the object, then mRGB button, then color, and fill the object. Now this thing also has color. And on the eye, I have already filled this toy plastic material. With the toy plastic material, I have just selected toy plastic material and selected the eye and selected the white color. With the mRGB button, I filled the material onto the eye. Then after that, I picked a paintbrush and painted these eye dots. Now I will be filling the kind of dark color for his mustache. So I will select the mustache, first the material, then the color, then the object. I think these are the mustache. You can rename your subtools also so that won't create any confusion. Right now I haven't renamed them. So I've selected the object, then mRGB, then color, then fill the object. And if I want to select the same color which is already on this body, I will just have to hover over here and click and then drag. Then there will be a picker which will select the color. Then I can go to the ears and fill the same color onto that thing, color and material onto the ears also. So these things are done. I think for the nails, I will fill some kind of a dark color. So I will just choose something a little bit different but kind of dark. So I think this will do. I will just select the nails. This is toenail, or we can just choose something. We can also choose from here. You can choose something similar to that tone. Yeah, this is the thing, and I have material is same. We can choose the toy plastic material for this one because nails are kind of shiny. So we can just choose the toy plastic material, then the color, and selected the object, then mRGB button, then color, and fill object. Now for the hand nails, I think these are the mustaches, these are the toenails, these are the hand nails. So just everything is selected. We just have to select the object and fill object. So these things are filled, and then I will go to the default material, not the default one but the skin shade material. Then these things are filled. Now we have to paint the patch onto his belly. So we'll just select the object, select the body, full body. Then we will select the paintbrush, and you can see we can change the size of the paintbrush with the S key, and we will just select something light yellowish. This color I am filling with the reference. I have a reference on the other screen, so by taking that as a reference I am filling this thing, and we can just paint it. Because we have material selected, we can make it sharp if we want. For making it sharp, we can just move the focal shift to a different number, something like this. We are just painting in a symmetry mode, so it's easier for us to just paint easily on both the sides. So it's somewhere around here. In the same way I have painted the eyeballs. I select I have to maintain the roundness at the edges, so I'm carefully painting it. I can go to the solo mode, and also I can paint this. If I want to paint this color again, I will just go over here, click, drag, and there will be a picker, and with that color I can paint back. So coloring, poly painting in ZBrush is kind of easy. It will be helpful for you to watch this part for proper understanding of the poly painting. It's just this. I'm applying flat colors, kind of flat colors. I'm not applying some details and all. But if you are good at painting colors or good at painting things, then it will be kind of fun for you to choose the color and paint. So I think this part is done. Now I will be, or I can just so now this is looking good. Next thing is the leaf. We'll apply shades later, but for now we will just fill up the base colors. I think for leaf we'll just choose some kind of dark, kind of green color. And we'll just select this object, then material is there, then this color is there, selected object, mRGB button, then color, then fill object. So we have just filled the color onto the leaf, and with some dark color, and with the paintbrush I will isolate this thing, and we'll try to change the focal shift because I want the soft transition. I just fill up this dark color on top of this stick and on the bottom of this leaf. And you can see because of back facing, the color is applied onto this side also. So we'll go to the brush icon, then auto masking, then we'll go to the back face mask and we'll turn it on. Now if I will go to the darker color, then I can just shade and there will be no paint on the back side. And with some light tones, I will just add some highlights. I'm not going in that much detail to paint this thing also because this is just a simple kind of sculpt which I wanted to print later on. So I will try to print it in 3D printing, like as a 3D print. Then we'll see that I can add these kinds of paint detail on top of that 3D printed model or not. So that is a different thing. But for now I think this leaf will do. And if you want to blur the color now, if we want to blur the color, we have to just hold shift on the keyboard, but with the Z add button turned off, we have to just do this thing, or else if we have this thing on while smoothing it, the whole mesh will get smooth. So while smoothing the color, we have to keep in mind that we have to just turn off the Z add button. So leaf is done, and now I will apply some shades onto the this pouch is left, like pouch is there, we have to apply some light kind of color onto the pouch also. So pouch is selected, MRGB selected, color is selected, material is selected, and we'll just fill object. Now I will apply the shades onto the body. So we'll select the body, the paintbrush. I'll just select the same color with the dark tone. I'll just try to add some dark shades around different parts, like his eyes, his forehead, you can isolate it, just fill this color on inside the eyes like this. It's looking weird, but it's fine. And with the small brush size, I will make the lips. For this lips, I have to turn off the symmetry. With the symmetry turned off, I can just make this lips. And there we go. We are applying some shades. We'll apply some shades around here, around the back part. I'm just randomly applying the shades. It's not mandatory to do this thing. You can just move forward with. So we can see that now our Totoro model is coming along. I will just select the pouch also. So by selecting the pouch, I will just drag and select this color, and with some dark shades I will isolate it. Then I will be exporting this thing to Marmoset, and I will be rendering this model on. I will be rendering this model in Marmoset. I think coloring is finished, so I will be rendering this thing in Marmoset, and by exporting it. So for Marmoset setup, I will be making a separate video, but for exporting it, I will just tell you the tell you my way. It's kind of easy. You just go to Z plugin. Then there's FBX export import. Then you just make this thing, like already default things are there. You just see that visible is on, bin is on, then this embedded maps is on because it's mandatory for the later steps. And then you will just go to the export option, and you can just export the model as a FBX. And the thing is, right now these things are dynamized. These things have too much polygon, but if your computer doesn't have that much strength to handle these much polygons, so you have to remesh this model. Then after remeshing this model, you have to apply that polypaint onto the remeshed model. So for that, I have already discussed these things on my other videos, but for now, if you just want to present your model in a kind of simple way, so for that you can just export this as a FBX, and you can set which I will be making a separate video. So for now, you can just keep in mind to make a model which looks good from all the angles, that is necessary, because if you are not looking your model from different angles, it will be a mess at the end. So look at your model and try to make, and for exporting it, just go to Z plugin, FBX export in next video, or we will be setting up our render in. So for that, you just stay tuned.
See you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching the full video.